could be holding you tonight. I could quit doing wrong and start doing right. You don't care about what I think.
Oh, hi there. Didn't see you there. I don't know why that's so funny to me. Anyhow, welcome to Getting the Grant, strategies for grant writing in your organization. This is a brand new lesson brought to you by me with a lot of help from the internet, and a really great book with a really terrible title, which you can't see, but I'll read it to you. It's called I'll Grant You That. That's the name of the book. And like I don't know why anyone would work really hard to make a really great book and then give it a really cheesy title. It also comes with an interactive CD-ROM, which would be great if I had a device that played a CD-ROM. Anyhow, I'd like to start today by talking first about the assignment that you're going to do for this, which is not something I normally do, but I think it'll hopefully make you less freaked out. And so basically, for your assignment, associated with this lesson, you're going to be writing a really scaled back grant application for either a grant that you find or one of the ones that I'm going to offer as examples. And so basically, you'll be writing a cover letter, an introduction, a needs assessment, and objectives. So don't get freaked out because that's totally accomplishable. Most of the materials in this lesson were taken from a graduate level course all about grant writing. So if you can imagine spending, a 6,000 level class, for a whole semester on writing a grant, we've taken that and then, pared it back quite a bit because this is one lesson and you guys are in a 3,000 level class and I just shouldn't subject you to that kind of thing. But let's get started. So reasons that you need to know how to write a grant application. Here's why I included this on the syllabus, like on the docket of things that we're going to learn. I used to be the chief operating officer or COO of the Florida 4-H Foundation, and one of the cooler things that I got to do was year to year we got to give away between $60,000 and $80,000 in what we called our earned income distribution credit grants. And so, people would write in, we'd give them up to $5,000. And a lot of them are really terrible because they just didn't really know how to, make their pitch in a persuasive way. And so that was really disappointing. And the other reason is that just recently, actually, here at Tech, I've been involved with a needs assessment where we go out and we hold focus groups with agents in all the different counties, particularly 4-H agents, but all kinds of extension agents. And one of the in-services that they say that they always want is how to grant write. And they talk about it like it's some mystical thing that, only special people know how to do. And that's definitely not the case. I mean, like any other thing that we have done in this course, like it's a form of technical writing that is mechanical and formulaic and can definitely be learned and definitely isn't mystical. For the purpose of this lesson, in my mind, there are two big aspects to grant writing. One is the programming part, and the other is the writing part. The programming part includes all the things that you're going to do, for the program that you're trying to get money for. And so that includes like writing a budget, having a pathway model, having a Gantt chart for who's going to do what. And we're not going to focus on that in this lesson on the basis or the logic that if you're in a job and you're running a program, you're going to know about that program. What you may not know about is the writing part, and this is also a writing class. And the writing part includes, how to make a persuasive case in a way that is typical of a grant application. And grant applications are usually written very specific, with lots of detail and stuff. And so I think that is the part where people struggle, like how to write it and make it like a good persuasive pitch. So this presentation for you guys is organized into two parts. The first one, we go through the parts of the grant application, at least the ones that I want you to know about for the sake of the lesson, or the assignment rather, and then a latter part about mindset. And I'll stop right now because I think it'll help for you to hear at the beginning what I mean by mindset. Most people approach writing a grant as though they need to demonstrate that their program is worthy, and then someone will give them money to carry out their program. And so it becomes all about them. And like everything else in this class, you need to write for your audience, and you need to remember that your audience is the grant maker or the funder or the donor, whatever you want to call them. And so it's better if you look at this, sort of process as you applying for a job, or that you're trying to get somebody to go into business with you. And so that changes things, right? It kind of makes you on more equal footing. And so then what you want to do under that sort of mindset is you want to come in and show that your mission and values and programs align with the missions and values and objectives of the granting application. And so then, just like remember when we talked about resumes and cover letters, it's not necessarily that you're qualified, it's that you're the best fit. And so you do need to, of course, show that you're qualified. But the thing that you really need to demonstrate is that you align with the organization, because essentially what the grant making organization, and then I'll shut up, but then what the grant making organization is doing is they have things that they want to achieve, like objectives in society that they want to achieve, and they're hiring you to do that by granting you money. So that's how that works. Things that still apply here. FATP still applies. Format, audience, topic, and presentation. And remember that your audience is always the donor agency, the grant-making agency. Like you're writing to the people that you want to give you money. And in this style, we will be writing an APA style. I don't know why, but that's what we do. So our objectives for today, we want you to understand the grant application writing process. We want you to understand how grants aid organizations in their missions. I will stop and tell you, fascinating fact, everybody thinks that, oh man, I have a nonprofit, I need to get a grant to run it. Fascinating fact, the breakdown of revenue for nonprofit organizations, half of their revenue comes from fees and services. So imagine you run a nonprofit camp, more than half of your revenue is going to come from camp fees, or selling t-shirts or, canteen foods. But of the other half, the parts that's actually donated, 75% of donations come from individuals. Believe it or not. So individuals usually make up the bulk of most people's donor base, followed by 15% from corporations, like corporate gifts, and 10% from grants. So everybody, I think grants loom large because we're in an academic environment, but in the grand scheme of things, they're actually a very small part of, usually where you get your money. But they can be very helpful, and that's why we're going to learn about them. Third one, to understand the importance of matching your interests to the grant maker's goals, to understand the parts of a grant application, and to know the key mistakes that can keep you from being funded, and then, of course, how not to make them. So there was supposed to be something here. All right. Oh, so let's start out basic. What is a grant? For those of you who are like, man, I'm really lost. A grant is just a sum of money given by an organization, especially the government or a nonprofit, for a specific purpose. That's pretty straightforward. And why do organizations give grants? It's not because they like you. It's because they want to further their mission, objectives, ideology, goals, etc., whatever that is. So here is our grant writing process that we're going to work through today in greater detail. First step, choose a grant that matches your needs and values. There are a lot of grants out there. Some of them you may be diametrically opposed to. You don't want to apply for those. One, because you probably won't get it, and two, because if you do get it, you have to do work that you don't agree with. So there's a lot of grants out there. You want to make sure you get the one that's right for you. Step two, you want to review the grant application packet, sometimes called a request for proposals, an RFP, or a RFA, request for applications. Those are all pretty much the same thing. In grant writing, like 90% of it is just following instructions, and when I mean to the letter. And so your grant application packet is kind of your guide, and so you need to pour through that and find it, because a lot of people have spent a lot of time figuring out exactly what they want to do with the money that they're giving away, and they've got a lot of details in there, and you just need to pay close attention to them. Step three, write the introduction. Step four, write the needs assessment. Step five, write goals and objectives that hopefully align with your organization's interest. And then finally, describe your methods, activities, management plan, and timeline. And we'll talk about each of these in greater detail in the next video. Thanks for playing along.